Hey guys, back again, and sorry I've been away for a few days. I just kind of wanted to take some time to rest after the Houston region and all that. Sadly, I didn't do quite as well as I would have wanted to, but it was my first time and it was kind of expected. So anyway, um, so I've decided to go back to a deck I haven't really picked up on in a long while. I mean, a really long while, which is my vampire deck. After Jesus's Nightmare Vendread deck, it really sparked some new ideas for me, and I was like wondering, I was like, huh, I really like the way he played his deck. I wonder if I could do something similar to it with my vampires. So I took the deck apart entirely, changed my ratios, and decided to try some new combos, and they actually work. It's actually a lot better now. Um, so this deck is not 40 cards, just letting y'all guys know this now. It's actually 45, but you'll see why it works the way it is a little bit better this way than just regular 40, because 40 was like, it felt too lackluster, it felt too slow, but maybe if you extend it a little bit just slightly, you can actually come up with some new combos and still make room for cards like Unizombie. So I just finally decided to head in Unizombie in this deck. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So starting off, you're going to be running three of your main boss monster, which is Vampire Scarlet Scourge, or as I call him, Alucard, because he looks just like Alucard from Castlevania. Literally your best card in the deck, because when he destroys a monster in battle at the end of the battle phase, you can take control of that monster and put it on your side of the field, and it becomes yours like permanently, at least until that monster is gone. But great card, and also when he's normal or special summon, you can pay 1,000 life points, target one vampire monster in your graveyard, and special summon it. But you can't special summon himself that way though. But overall, it's still a great card. It helps you trigger off some of the other effects of your other vampire cards too, which comes to our next monster, Vampire Retainer. I bumped him up to 3 now, just because you want to be able to special summon this guy as quickly as possible, because he gives you access to your vampire speller traps like Domain or Desire, and you want to try to get Domain out as quickly as possible. That way you can get your additional normal summon as long as it's a vampire monster. For the next card, I decided to bump this down to 2. Or kept it at 2 rather than 3 now, because I kept opening up with too many of these and you don't want to open up with it as much. But 2 Vampire Familiars. Mainly because it's a 1-for-1 target, and also it's easy to use for Link Rebo and can make for easy, basically, yeah, just Link fodder for anything. But also, Familiar's effect is that when it's special summoned, you get to pay 500 life points, add 1 vampire monster from your deck to your hand. And also, I forgot to mention, return, you have to pay 500 life points when it's special summoned to add your spell or trap. But both of them do the same graveyard effect, where you pitch a vampire card from your hand or on the field to the graveyard as cost. And you can special summon them, but you have to banish them when they leave the field. It's a pretty hard restriction, but, in a way it's kind of fair, and you have a way to bring it all back, so don't worry about that. And it's only if you special summon them through their own effects, so not special summon in general. So overall, at least these cards are fair in their own right. Moving on, we got 2 Vampire Throw-Line. I bumped it down to 2. 3 was a little too cloggy, so I felt like 2 was the better number. But whenever a monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. In defense mode. And what's really great is that you can pay any number of life points up to 3,000 max. Add those life points to any one of your zombie type monsters. So it's not just restricted on vampires; it's on any zombie type. And it's really good because you need to be able to beat over really powerful monsters. And it really just gets the job done. And so it also increases defense power too. So that's also a good thing. That way you can keep Fraulein out as much as you can, and it's once per battle, not once per turn. So Vampire Fraulein, definitely a great card. Moving on to the Vampire Core, we got 2 Duke. I'm not running Shadow Vampire anymore. Shadow Vampire's restriction was way too much of a hindrance, so I felt Duke was the better option. Yeah, you have to special summon the monster in defense mode whenever you normal summon this card, but that's usually okay, because you're either just going to go to a Link play, or you're just going to go straight into an Xyz, So that's why I felt like Duke was the better option. Decided to finally main deck Vampire Grace. It's really come in handy a lot, so that's why I decided to go ahead and run it in. So whenever you special summon a zombie monster using the effect, or a level 5 or higher zombie monster using the effect of a zombie type, you can pay 2,000 life points to special summon this card. Once per turn, you can declare a card type, monster, spell, or trap, and your opponent has to pitch one of those cards to the graveyard. And depending on what deck you're up against, you just got to make sure you call the right option. Like Ultrageist, you want to call traps. Goki, I wouldn't recommend monster, because most of the deck is monsters, and that's kind of how the deck functions. So If anything, declare spell or trap. Get rid of their impermanences or they're called by the graves. And last for the main vampires, we run the one Red Baron. He's basically creature swap. Comes in handy every now and then. It helps you disconnect the extra link board sometimes, assuming you manage to bait out the Trigate Negate, or if they extra link you but don't have the the two nightmares like the Phoenix and the Cerberus out. If you're that lucky, try to take control of one of their monsters. If anything, take that Firewall Dragon or that Topologic Gunblar Dragon, and you should be fine with that. And that way you can at least link away that other monster, or better yet, take control of that Nightmare Mermaid, because that's the one that's going to weaken your monsters by a lot. So yeah. So anyway, that's it for the Vampire Engine itself. Let's go ahead and move on to the rest. We got Triple Mizuki, standard, just because you need to be able to revive your zombie type monsters quite a bit, and this helps you. It's basically an extender for me. Helps me extend my link capabilities a lot more, and it really comes in handy because you could also summon it through the effect of Summon Sorceress, and yeah, it's just really good. As I mentioned, I decided to finally run in 2 Unizombie, just because it helps me get my zombies to the grave faster, and also I don't usually rely on its level modulation too much. I just use it just to get zombies to the grave faster. Of course, moving on, we got 1 Gozuki. I was gonna bump it up to 2 again, but I was like, nah, I think 1 is okay, just because his effect doesn't rely. I don't rely on his effect as much as I used to. The one I actually prefer is this one, Samurai Skull. They both do the same thing, but I felt like Samurai Skull's effect is a little bit better. When it's normal summon, you can send 1 zombie type monster from the deck to the grave, and if this face-up card leaves its owner's control by an opponent's card effect, so it just needs to leave the field. It doesn't matter if it gets bounced back to hand or if it gets sent to the graveyard, as long as it's sent away from the field. It doesn't have to go anywhere. It doesn't have to be specific on where it goes. You can special summon a level 4 or lower zombie monster from your deck. So it's a good way to get Unizombie out as well, or your Gozuki, your Mizuki, anything like that. So that's why I felt like Samurai Skull was slightly better on this one. Because Gozuki is when he's sent to the graveyard, I know it's optional, but you banish 1 zombie monster to special summon a zombie. It's okay, but I still prefer the Samurai Skull effect a little bit better. So that's why I decided to run 1 in 1. Next up, we got 1 Zombie Master, pretty standard as well. I felt like this guy was great in this deck. Discard 1 card to special summon, or discard 1 monster to special summon a level 4 or lower zombie monster from either player's graveyard. So I thought that was good, and also helps you trigger off the Vampire Suckers effect just to get an extra draw. And finally, 1 Goblin Zombie. This was the card that really sparked some new ideas, because as soon as I saw that being played in the Nightmare Vendor deck, I was like, Nightmare Goblin Zombie, I never would have thought to use that. And his effect's not once per turn, so yeah, that's actually perfect. You can also summon him through the effect of Summon Sorceress, get a search off, and then and you really just extend your link place even faster with this. So I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Goblin Zombie, I should run that in Vampires, at least just 1 copy of it. Because again, it's searchable through Summon Sorceress, or you can even summon it through the effect of Samurai Skull. So you got multiple ways of getting this guy out. So that's why I decided to just run it at 1. And for the hand traps, just 3 Ash Blossoms, and that's it. Just because I'm not too worried about hand traps. Drone Lockbird, yeah, kind of hurts the deck a little bit, but since you're pitching stuff to the graveyard, that's why I'm not too worried about it, and you got multiple times of being able to do that, so Ash does very little to the deck anyway. If any hand trap that really hurts his deck, it's probably going to be the Infinite Impermanence, or the, maybe Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler would definitely hurt the deck quite a bit too, because you don't want to get stopped in the middle if you're trying to pitch your zombies to the grave, So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the spells and traps. So starting off, we got Triple Vampire's Domain. This is basically your double summon, but it's also good because you can, once you pay your 500 life points to get that additional normal summon, you still get to have it even if this card leaves the field. So if cards like Ogre, as long as you already paid your cost, you still get to activate it. Also, what's great about this card is that whenever you inflict battle damage using a vampire monster, you gain life points equal to that amount, so that's why it's so good. Next up, we got Vampire's Desire, which acts as both Foolish Burial and Monster Reborn. You can either target 1 face-up monster you control, send 1 vampire monster of a different level to the grave, and that monster becomes that level for the turn, or you can target 1 vampire monster in your grave, send 1 monster you control, and if you do, special summon that targeted monster. So, good way to trigger off Goblin Zombie's effect, Gozuki's effect, or even just get like Mizuki to the graveyard that we can special summon another monster. It's like it just helps you get a lot more pluses. So now I actually use both effects of Vampire's Desire very simultaneously. So that's why I do it that way now. 2 Scapegoats. I would have played it at 3, but I found 3 was too cloggy, so I thought 2 was the better number. Plus, you're already going to be able to fill up your board quite a bit anyway, even without the need of Scapegoat. It's just there just to help me get like cards like my Gaia Saber out faster and all that. So that's why. And for extra consistency, just run 2 Pot of Desires. It really does help out a lot. That way you can bleed out your deck of cards you don't really need and just get to what you do need. So it's high risk, reward, and yeah, just got to take a gamble at it at times. So, but only play it when you have to play it. So Pot of Desires, yeah, like I said, 2 is good enough. 3 was way too much, so I was like, nah, I don't like it at 3. Just 2, it's just to keep it consistent. For singles, we got 1 Foolish Burial, standard. 1 for 1, also standard to get to your Vampire Familiar faster. Monarch Stormforth, which does help out a lot because you can, in case if you have a level 5 or 6 monster you want to summon and someone tries to extra link you, but hope that you don't get the Tri-Gate Negate available on you. But if anything, get rid of that Firewall Dragon or the Topology Gumbler. If anything, I prefer that Firewall, because if you get rid of that Gumbler, if he's in the center of it all, then Firewall Dragon's effect's just going to trigger off, so just get rid of that Firewall Dragon. 1 Reasoning, just because mainly because your opponent's going to have a hard time calling it right half the time. Even if he does call it right, it doesn't hurt you too badly, because again, zombies rely more on the graveyard anyway, so cards like Reasoning definitely help you out. So like I said, half the time your opponent's going to call it incorrect, because you have a huge variety of level monsters in this deck, so that's why it doesn't really affect you too badly, so you should be fine. 1 Burial from Different Dimension. I used to have it at 2, but bumped it down to 1 just because I didn't really need it as much as I would have thought. Soul Charge, pretty standard. Really helps out a lot in this deck. 1 Monster Reborn. Amazing card, of course. Again, standard. And for the last 2 cards, 2 Domination. Just because like this card is really good. It's basically Solemn Judgment. Can negate a summon, or not a summon, but actually not Solemn Judgment. It's more like a Solemn Strike. Whenever a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, while you control a vampire monster, you can negate it, and also if you destroy a monster using this card's effect, you regain that monster's original attack strength, so it's a really great card for that. So that's why Domination's still necessary. So that's it for the main deck. So extra deck, we're going to start off with, of course, 2 Vampire Sucker. Very generic zombie link monster, just because like you can just requires 2 zombies to summon it, and also if a zombie is revived from either player's graveyard, you can draw 1 card, and also you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your opponent's side of the field in defense mode, but it becomes a zombie monster. So it's a good way to also like, because I forgot Sucker is also a cross combination of both Monarch Stormforth and Zombie World, so you can tribute that monster whenever you perform a tribute summon for a zombie type monster. So that's why Sucker's so great. We got the 1 Link Karibo, just because you got a couple level 1s in this deck, and it's really not hard to bring out. Summon Sorceress, of course, like I said, extremely busted in this deck, because you can basically target 1 zombie monster that she points to, and special summon another one from your deck in defense mode, but its effects are negated, but that's only on the field, so you can trigger off graveyard effects. So Summon Sorceress, great card. Nightmare Engine, we got both Phoenix and Cerberus, which is pretty standard. I really want a Unicorn, but unfortunately I don't have a Unicorn right now, so my only other option right now is just Gaia Saber. But Gaia Saber is still good because, just helps you extend your link plays, and it's pretty powerful in its own right. We got the 1 Tri-Gate Wizard, of course. The deck doesn't necessarily try to go for the extra link, it's just to put yourself in a position where you can co-link all your monsters to where they can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, and still be able to get a Tri-Gate Negate as well. We got 1 Saryuja Skuldred, and of course, one of the most busted cards in the game, Firewall Dragon. And unfortunately, this might be the last time I get to enjoy Firewall Dragon, because it still has the highest probability of being banned this upcoming ban list. So I'm going to try to I might play this at my locals this Saturday. I haven't decided on it yet whether I'm going to go or not, but if I do go, this is probably a deck I'll play for the night, just because like I really want to see how far I can get with vampires this time around. For the Xxes, we got 1 Crimsonite Vampire Bram. Just use it because of his attack strength. I don't care too much of his effect because it restricts me pretty badly like Shadow Vampire. 1 Pilgrim Reaper, which is really good for milling. You detach 1, both you and your opponent have to mill the top 5 cards of your deck, and it does hurt some decks because like sometimes they can't afford to have cards like if they need that top deck and you end up forcing them to lose it, the Pilgrim Reaper is going to be the card you want to use, and it helps you out too because you need your zombies in the graveyard as quickly as possible. 1 number 24 Dragulus. His effect is that if a monster is special summoned from the extra deck, you can change it into face down defense, but it's hardly relevant in this format. But it's a second effect that really makes up for that, because when it's sent to the graveyard or banished, you can special summon them back in defense mode, or face down defense mode, I'm sorry. And when it's flipped face up, you can just send 1 card from your opponent's side of the field, or either player's field, I'm sorry, but generally your opponent's side is the one you want to aim for, and just send it straight to the grave. And just note, it just sends. It does not destroy, and it does not target, so that's one of the main benefits of Dragulus. And the last card we have is Dhampir Vampire Sheridan. Great card because if you use monsters with a level that is owned by your opponent for an Xxes summon, so going back to the effect of Scarlet Scourge, any monsters you take control of them at the end of the battle phase, they'll be treated as level 6s basically for only Dhampir Vampire Sheridan. So that means you have to Xxes summon for this guy to do that. But once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material, but this one targets though. You target 1 card your opponent controls and send it to the graveyard. So this does not destroy, but unfortunately does target, so that's the only other problem with the card. But it's not too bad though. He gets things done, and also once per turn, if a monster is sent from the field to the graveyard, to your opponent's graveyard by a card effect or by battle, you can detach 1 material, special summon that monster back to your side of the field in defense mode. So great card. Like I said, gets a lot done, and yeah. I'm fine with it at 2. I try not to run it at 3 anymore just because it was way too much. But anyway, yeah, that's it for the Vampire deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch you guys again next time.